And that's why I said
Call to order the Board of Aldermen meeting for October 8, 2019. Please rise to the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Roll call.
Alderman King.
Here.
Alderman Stowe.
Here.
Alderman Tripp.
Here.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Here.
Alderman Cassetti.
Here.
Alderman Philippone.
Here.
Alderman Dempsey.
Here.
Alderman Conslidus.
Here.
Alderman Yeoman.
Here.
Alderman Rivers.
Here.
Alderman O'Brien. Alderman Stewart.
Here.
Alderman Blackwell.
Here.
Alderman DeLibero. 12 present, 2 absent.
Declare quorum. Before we start with the agenda, I'd like to ask for a motion to add on communication number 4 from Lorraine Torella regarding blight discrimination. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Castellitis, is there a second? Mr. Philippone, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The opposed? Motion carries. Also, I'd like to add to the agenda a late resolution regarding the Valley Fire Chiefs Regional Training School. Motion to add that. Mr. Cassetti, followed by, second by Mr. Stewart. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Consideration of previous minutes. Is there a motion to accept the previous minutes? Mr. Stewart? Mr. Rivers, second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. Public session. Would anyone from the public wish to speak? Yes, please come forward, please. In lieu of the hefty crowd tonight, we're going to limit our comments to 3 minutes. Name and address for the record, please.
Melinda Pagliaro, Tree Lore, Holbrook Street. 2 minor things. I'd like to ask if we can look into a bus stop on Wakely Avenue, because it's more than a mile from Wakely to a bus stop. The second issue, considering the dog park where Peck School was. And then the good news is, on September 17th, a Tuesday, I came to Town Hall to complain to Mira Cassetti. Sheila O'Malley and Janet said I didn't look good, and that's nothing new. Mira Cassetti handled my complaint to perfection, and Janet took me to the emergency room. I want to thank all for their care and concern, and a blessing from God for a good outcome. Also to Uncle Vaccaro for a ride. I am so home in Ansonia, and I want to thank you all again.
Thank you, Belinda. Good luck. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Sharon. I'm at 5 Sobin Drive, Ansonia, Connecticut. As everyone knows, I'm running for Board of Ed, and I have gone to some of the meetings at the Hartford Board of Ed, and I just wanted to kind of reiterate what I had spoke about at the Hartford Board of Ed, which is basically how happy I am and how happy the community is for the city and the school system coming together. It's moving in the right direction, and it provides a lot of hope to a lot of people in our community. I'm also pleased that they're coming together with a new financial system, and I think that gives a lot of hope, gives a lot of transparency, and I want to commend both the administration and the school system for working together on that. I understand it's the Tyler Irving system, which is tremendous. And so I look forward to that, and I look forward to a new beginning for our school and our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last name for me?
Sharon, your last name, can you spell it, please?
V as in Victor. OROSCHAK.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Would anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Hi.
Hi.
Linda Sharkey, 58 Platt Street. I have a complaint about the parking lot next to 5860 Platt Street. The parking lot we really appreciate, especially for the firemen and for the policemen, but also for my brother and I, because we do not have a driveway. We're probably the only ones that don't have a driveway on Platt Street, and we do use that parking lot. However, I had to call the blight officer, Mr. Blackwell, a few times in order to have the city come and clean out that parking lot. And also, the drainage is a big problem. It has undermined the wall in front of my house and the stairway, which the city does own. And I'm asking the city to please rectify that problem and repair the wall, which is about a 5 or 6 foot wall in front of the house, which is going to be in the future probably coming down. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Mike?
Well, she hasn't finished the whole thing, so I got it on.
Okay.
Mike Doobie, 60 Platt Street. Talking about the wall on the sidewalk. When they built the parking lot, they put in the sidewalk. They improperly did the drainage system. What it's done is it's come down the sidewalk on the side, undermined the stairway, which is a common stairway between the city now and my property, and the upper sidewalk and the wall. The wall is coming apart, but the upper sidewalk is sinking drastically. We have someone there who is in a wheelchair, who, if God forbid can't get out the back door for some reason, and that front door goes down, someone's going to be in for a big lawsuit. This has been going on for 6 years. I actually talked to John, and the mayor was there, and the alderman, and the grant writer 2 or 3 years ago, and said that it was the city's responsibility because everything was undermined. Now, we're getting to the point where I'm tired of getting, saying yes, 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 nothing being done. My only other recourse is, if the city doesn't do anything, is to get a hold of the Citizens with Disability Act, because he is in a wheelchair, and get a lawyer to come and have the city fight with the city to come in and fix this upper problem. My sister actually took pictures of the sidewalk. It's actually sunk this much. And I know it's hollow underneath there because it's happened many, many years ago, and I had to fix it. And we paid to have the wall fixed and the stairs, which were the city's, fixed. Now, I wish the city would come up and take on the responsibility of not only fixing the wall and the sidewalk, but also taking care of that parking lot, which is, the city should be disgraced, the fact that it's used by the policemen and the firemen who do such a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We'll look into it. Thank you. Anyone else to the public? Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marjorie Smith. I live at 127 Wakely Avenue. As everyone know, I'm sure, last year Wakely Avenue had a sewer problem. If you dug up, it went into our basement. We had to have somebody come out and pump all the sewage out. Woke up the next morning, it's back in our basement again. We did not do anything. We went outside, we talked to the construction men outside, and they told us to just wait and see if it goes down, because they said if we pay more money, it might go back up again. It did go down the second time, but we had damage down there. December, I turned everything over to the mayor in the mayor's office. He called me last month and told me that I would have to get, new things, which I didn't do. I'm disabled, and but my insurance rejected it. I gave him a rejection letter, and I had Jiffy Plumbing came up and do the plumbing, but we haven't heard anything. We had a lot of damage, but I didn't claim everything because a lot of stuff down there was old, but I did claim some things. And this is my tenant.
And I did claim everything, and I talked to the mayor a few times. I even looked for the alderman in Ward 5, which I live in Ward 5, but I don't know who that is. And I did quite a few cleanups and quite a few things that got damaged that can't be replaced. And every time I think about it, I'm not going to say upset me, it pisses me off, because it's been last year sometime. It's been since December. And my husband was going up talking to the mayor, and he told us everything to do, get in touch with the insurance, you know, send out the Jiffy Lube. I sent all that stuff in. I didn't make copies of it because I don't have a computer at the time, and like I said, it was during the winter, and I'm disabled, you know, I don't go out that much during the winter. So I didn't, but I thought it would be safe. But the mayor says he can't find anything. I don't know. You know, I don't know if they found it or not, but I have a list here.
Okay.
And we do have, you know, like I said, a lot of stuff was older, so I didn't even claim it, but there was some stuff down there that, you know, and we had to pay for the cleanup, and we had to pay for them to evacuate the water also. So, you know, I would like to see some resolution to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have that list, please get it to me.
Name and address to the record, please.
Good evening, Margaret Williams. I'm here on behalf of my father and my mother.
And your address?
69 Rockwood Avenue.
Thank you.
My father is a retiree. It seems that the city has decided that they are going to no longer reimburse him the amounts for the medical and things that he had, which was part of his retirement and pension plan. And in doing some analysis with some other people, some other retirees are also having this problem. This has started since July. So I don't know if anybody here has elderly parents that have worked for the city and they haven't, but it's something to be concerning, especially if you have something that you're relying upon. And I certainly don't want my parents going broke because they're no longer getting the medical insurance that they were assured from back 30-some years ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else from the public wish to speak? Mr. Mazzanti?
Edward Mazzanti, 21 Castle Lane. I brought up this issue back in May over on Cumberland Farms. That hole there, I was told was going to be fixed soon. Asphalt plant is going to be closing very shortly because it all sunk down and it's getting worse and worse. And another thing that was brought up, Cumberland Farms coming out no left, because somebody else brought that up back to the police commissioner meeting about having that changed to no left come out of Cumberland Farms. And on top of Division Street and Clifton have a sign there, do not block intersection. I saw the other day an ambulance was trying to come through from Derby down. Things all blocked up at 5 o'clock. They have a sign there. They have one over on Jackson Street. Do not block intersection. They could get one up there. Do not block intersection.
Thank you, Ed.
Brian Sorek, 17 Elaine Drive. I have a question about this board per Domenico's op-ed today. He's saying that there's a board in the city that involves Jeff Sweeney, Derby resident Rich DiCarlo, Giovanni Nicola, registrar of voters and vote member David Papson, and town council John Marini. I checked every single board on the website. No, there's no board with any of these members altogether. Further, I checked the Cultural Commission board, which I did get something interesting. I found this note in their last meeting minutes. A discussion of ways to stop continual interference in Cultural Commission events by other parties, including city departments, the treasurer, and others. So my question, I guess, is for Domenico. Is this true, or are you making a lie just for some sort of election purpose? So please tell me what board this is.
I don't understand what the question is. The board referenced in the letter is a board that we used to put together for the Comic-Con for the library. Anything else you're referring to, I have no idea.
Of this? There's no public record on the Cultural Commission?
Nope.
That they're apparently putting this on?
Nope.
So is the Cultural Commission actually putting this on, or is this just you?
This is us.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Good evening, everybody. Anthony Spigarello, 10 Murray Street. I came here tonight to talk about something that has nothing to do with politics. It's something a little bit greater. It has to do with all the towns around here. Something you brought up tonight. That's the Valley Fire Chiefs. I believe that's coming on your agenda tonight, something to discuss. Some of you are not aware, the state bonding has been held up for years. That school has been promised to us for years. And I'm here not tonight just to ask for the aldermen, but everybody here too. We need to keep pressuring these people in Hartford. We need that school. I've been a volunteer town 17 years, captain of the charter hose for about 12. There's no training. All the cities around here, we have to pay good money to go to other schools that our tax dollars have already fixed up. The property's bought, it's sitting there just growing weeds. We need to get that money. So we need to keep pressuring everybody we can. This isn't Republican, this isn't Democrat. We need to shake everybody's street and get that money to us that's been promised for years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Perkins. I live at 6 West Road here in Ansonia, obviously. I would like to bring up some events that happened on March 6th of this earlier this year. I do apologize if this seems kind of irrelevant. I tried to bring this up at a meeting, I believe in June, that was canceled when I was home, so I was unable to. I also had my friend Brian here talk about that at a meeting, I believe 2 or 3 months ago. Haven't got an answer on it, so I would just like to see if I can get an answer, some clarity today. I want to bring up some events that happened with the city historian. His name is John William Toohey. I know it's not an official title here in Ansonia, but I've seen from the CT Post, seen from New Haven Register, seen from Valley Independent Sentinel. On the Facebook page of the city of Ansonia itself, it also speaks about him being the city historian. I had an encounter with him via social media. I no longer have a social media account. I do have everything archived, however. Happened in, excuse me if you hear me, happened March 6th is when the first attack towards me happened. Like I said, as the city historian, it seems kind of odd kind of place to be attacked personally, especially seeing that he holds an official title here in the city. Now the reason why I bring this up is because when he first heard of me, or when he first started attacking me via social media, he brought up the fact that I filed an FOI with the city of Ansonia. Now at this time, this was March 6th, I filed my FOI on February 23rd. I emailed the mayor, as he knows, and I also CC'd Corporate Counsel John Marini. Now how would the city historian, John Toohey, know I filed an FOI with the city, seeing the fact that I only emailed those 2 people about it? Seems a bit odd to me. Further down the list, he continued to attack my family, he continued to attack my friends. He doxed me, he's put out my personal information out there, violating my personal security, violating my operational security as well, completely slandering me, complete libel, the usual whole 9 yards. Now I was looking through, and he's using a page called the Ansonia Historical Society. Like I said, he's going through using that page to attack me. It's no longer there. I have it all archived if you're interested in seeing it. Anyone from the public as well, I'll more than happily share it with you guys. I'm not, so proud that I can't, see myself get slandered. I know it's all fake. Now the reason why I bring this up also is because I'm going through, looking at who's liking these pages, looking at who's liking these posts. And I'm just curious as to why the Board of Aldermen President, Laura Vaccaro, is liking these posts slandering an Ansonia resident. I have it all archived, by the way, sir, if you want to look at it. Slandering not only me, not only my friends, not only my family, but also other residents of Ansonia, people who apparently don't exist, I made up as well, that are also Valley residents, Ansonia residents, nonetheless. So that's the reason why I'm here. I just want to bring that up. I still have yet to hear the mayor denounce Mr. Toohey's actions. Corporation Councilor Marini has yet to denounce his actions. So I'm just curious as to where that stands. Thank you.
Thank you. Will anyone else from the public wish to speak? Will anyone else from the public wish to speak? Name and address, please.
Good evening. Millie Rios, 121 Great Hill Road. Good evening, President Vaccaro, board members, Cassetti, Corporate Counsel, Sheila, and everybody else here, and the audience. The reason why I'm here is because I know at the last board meeting on September 10th and the board meeting prior to that on September 13th, the Farrell Cinto project, or whatever you want to call it, was discussed. I see that it's not in today's agenda. And I'm concerned because one of the things that was discussed there has to do with the 7 years of incentive that's going to be given to the Farrell Corporation and 7 years for construction. As many of you are very well aware, this construction or the length of time will directly affect me personally because my house is the corner house. I have this distinction of being right there at the corner where Farrell is directly in my backyard. This whole construction started back in 2011. It was finished about 4 years ago, and here we are 9 years later, and they're still getting tax incentives. So that's a really big concern. But my concern is that there was a discussion thrown out there about 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and then 10 years as far as what they're going to be allowing Farrell to do as far as building a warehouse or whatever. And again, it was brought to, I believe you guys discussed this at the executive session in the last meeting. So I'm just concerned because what is it? Is it 3 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 7 years? Is it 10 years? And again, like I said, this affects my property, my quality of life, and I definitely need to know. And on top of that, why do they keep getting incentives and incentives? Corporate Counsel Marini mentioned at the last meeting that they were going to get a $24,000 reduction in taxes. How much more incentives are, we're giving away the farm. We don't, when are we really going to get the true money that this economic development was supposed to be giving us many, many years ago? Here it is, 2019, and we're still yet to see all this great, tax-based money that we're supposed to be getting. So I know, Mr. Vaccaro, you do say this isn't a Q&A session, but my only concern is that once a month, you, the elected officials, do meet. And I think we as citizens have a right to come forward and ask a question and get some kind of a direct answer. And so with that being said, I would like to know if somebody in the board or somebody can just at least, when we went to public session, to your private session, what exactly was said as far as the length of time.
Thank you, Melanie.
I can sort of put out.
Thank you,
really
John.
quick here.
I appreciate that.
No agreement has been entered into yet for Farrell. And in fact, the city has never offered them a tax incentive prior to this. There was a state incentive, a manufacturer's assistance incentive that Farrell took, but the city did not actually give them a tax incentive agreement to build that facility. What the city did do to facilitate the building of that facility was to secure a $2 million grant, half state, half federal, that allowed the road to be built, that allowed the project to go forward, to allow Farrell to relocate up there, and that did, of course, result in a significant amount of new tax revenue based on that new facility. That is what the city did. And of course, you remember the whole story in the beginning, that of course this board of aldermen, way back when, 5 years ago, basically vowed that one way or the other, it would find that money to allow the project to proceed, to prevent Farrell from leaving the city, possibly the state. And it worked. But in terms of a tax incentive, very few at this point, very few businesses have actually received a city tax incentive. It was a new program that I helped create when I was an alderman about 7 years ago. We've utilized it for better packages, which we actually utilized it to get better package to relocate from Shelton, 100-year-old business, to relocate from Shelton to the city of Ansonia. And outside of that, we have offered it to other businesses, but actually the next time really a tax incentive has really come up in a significant way has been this new offer now from Farrell, asking for basically a reduction in the amount of this new property that they would take on, or a reduction of the taxes, if they would take it and develop it within a certain amount of time. But actually that has yet to be actually resolved. So the aldermen have not concluded on that at all. They still have it before them. They're still talking back and forth between Cinto, who is the developer, and Farrell about it, but nothing's been approved yet.
Millie, through you, Mr. President, I think your concern is about the, or was about the blasting and the rock not rock crushing, but the excavation. And I think if Farrell is to redevelop this property, it's on a site that's already cleared. It's not a site that needs to be blasted. So if they go forward with that, it's a 30,000 square foot proposed
Okay.
expansion. Would mainly be warehousing, but it's not, you know, to put Farrell up on that mountain, you had to blast the mountain.
Oh, yeah,
And I
tell me
think-
about it.
Okay. I don't know if you know that. Just teasing. But I think, you know, this expansion will be on a clear lot. So that
Okay.
might help some appease some here.
I was just concerned because there was the 7-year discussed last meeting where Mr. Cinto did come forward, and it does state something about the 7 years incentive and the 7-year, and you're like, okay,
It's not,
how
we
long?
don't want them to take 7 years to build
Absolutely,
something. We
yeah.
want them to build it right away. But one of the, you know, the tools that the state uses and that we find can be effective in retaining a company, expanding a company, and getting new companies in are incentives.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks.
Would anyone else from the public wish to speak? Please come forward, name and address, please.
Hi, Leslie Navarrete, 98 Beaver Street. Good evening, President Vaccaro and Honorable Aldermen. I'm testifying on the Olson Drive Sport Complex project. I think I saw it in one of the pages, like towards the end, but if it's not, I still want to say my piece about it. 60% of Ansonia residents are struggling to just buy basic necessities. That means that they never afforded the chance to even eat downtown or even enjoy anything downtown, to be honest. That's almost double the state average. That 20% of our residents are in poverty. That means their children in Ansonia go to bed without eating a meal. 69% of our students are on the free reduced lunch. I give you those statistics because the developers have asked for a 20-year tax break and already made it clear that Ansonia residents will not be able to use that facility, that complex, for free. I have no objections to have a developer come into our city and build. No objections whatsoever. They're here to profit. But what does that profit mean to Ansonia? It doesn't matter how much traffic and attention that this development brings to our downtown when 80% of our people can't afford to enjoy these opportunities. So I want you guys to really make sure that when the developer comes here, we put our kids first. Because I'm sick and tired that we don't put our children, our people first. Because I think our logo in Ansonia is putting taxpayers first, and that's 80% of our people that we're neglecting. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else from the public wish to speak? Would anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Mr. President, I also want to comment on that because I think that's important as well, just a little point of clarification. We have asked our assessor to look at possible tax impacts of different developments in Olson Drive. And while this is certainly far from a done matter, in fact, the priority is certainly to unlock Olson Drive. The assessor's calculation seems to be about $500,000 per year in tax revenue from such a facility. And while a tax incentive is being requested, again, this is all kind of cart before the horse because we've yet to really get into this. We're concerned about being able to use Olson Drive for anything. A $500,000 benefit to the town in taxes could be put towards the budget, towards the Board of Education, to improvements to existing fields, to new police vehicles, you name it. And so there is a big value, of course, in getting the investment and getting that tax money for our kids and our residents. What form it takes to be determined, and we love to actually thank you very much because we want to hear input here, but it's very important that we get that property on the tax rolls. What we received before in terms of pilot for the last 5-6 years is nothing. Nothing. It's just been generating nothing, not going to the kids, teachers, to developments around town. It's just doing nothing for us except being a nice green field. And we need to make it work for the city. So again, there's different directions that it could go, but I would definitely, my counsel to the board is to put your eyes on our tax revenue that we're going to be making from this transaction. Get it to work for the city.
I would also point out that at no time during discussions with the proposed developer did he ever say that the residents or the children of the residents of the city of Ansonia will not be allowed to use it free of charge. He never said that.
That's actually in a newspaper.
Yeah.
These are coming from the newspaper, with all due respect. That's actually in the newspaper, so I don't know, maybe you want to talk to the developer because he was quoted in the newspaper. That those were his requests.
Yeah, he's never represented those to us, so.
Well, I mean, you might want to talk to him because he was quoted on that.
So if the deal doesn't work for the city, it doesn't work for the city. And part of it has to be the, obviously, use of the facility, but also, you know, we want to negotiate something that works well for us. And again, it's kind of cart before horse because our priority here right now is making sure that Olson Drive is able to be, can be developed. The history goes back here for some time with the city really wanting to move in that direction. But of course, there's restrictions. You have to do it the right way. As the mayor will talk in a little bit, you know, we've really put a great team effort here to pave a way to a future for that property. That's the priority here. And all your concerns are valid and need to be taken into consideration once we figure out step B, which is, what's it going to be?
Right, no, I'm thinking, I just want you guys to remember that what our demographics looks like when you guys are bringing private developers here, because they're going to make a profit regardless. And what we need to make sure is that we do put our residents first, because our residents are working class individuals. When we bring private developers, they tend to put their pockets first, and that pushes our people out, unfortunately, when they do think of themselves. And as our local officials, it's your priority to put our people first to the table when we develop those contracts. Because if you don't, our people will suffer. And we've seen that time and time again. We're not Stono, we're not Fairfield County. We are Ansonia, we're Ansonia strong, and that means we have to build our and uplift our community. Thank you.
Would anyone else from the public wish to speak? You already spoke, Ed, sorry. One time. Would anyone else from the public wish to speak? Third and final call. Would anyone else from the public wish to speak? Hearing none, seeing none, public session is closed. Public official session, Mayor Cassetti, please.
President Vaccaro, members of the Board of Aldermen, and residents of the great city of Ansonia. Before I begin, I would like to congratulate Chief Andy Cota on becoming the chief of the Ansonia Police Department. Congratulations, Andy. As many of you know, our administration has never been afraid to fight for the good of this city. And over the last 6 years, we stood our ground whenever the going got tough. Some things are just worth fighting for. Even more important than fighting, of course, is delivering victories to our city. And in government, the most significant victories are not those that produce winners and losers. The most valuable victories are those that result in progress for all. Outcomes that transform adversity and advantage for Ansonia and each one of its residents. Tonight I am pleased to report even more victories for our city. All of them thanks to the fighting spirit of this Board of Aldermen. First, I am excited to announce a major step forward towards the reuse of Olson Drive. Over 6 years ago, the city and HUD were involved in a lawsuit that clouded the future of the property. Now the city and its housing authority are moving forward with HUD's blessing on a joint application to redevelop the property while also helping the housing authority provide quality public housing for our residents. It is a true team effort and a win-win for taxpayers, residents, and our downtown. Second, this board will be discussing a potential settlement of the Winter Brothers lawsuit in executive session. As you know, Winters was dismissed by the city's trash hauler because of poor customer service. Today, the company known as Winter Brothers, is no more, having been purchased by Oak Ridge, a company with a strong specialty in recycling. The possibility now exists for a team up between the City of Ansonia and Oak Ridge on a single-stream recycling, while also sending the city's trash hauling contract back out to bid. Third, let's talk more about downtown. Last month, this board approved the terms of an agreement that would truly turn conflict into collaboration. I can report that we are continuing talks with Shaw Growth that would see the redevelopment of the ATP, the Palmer Building, along with the massive process lab at 501 East Main Street. Finally, we have fantastic news to announce with respect to the Board of Education. The finance departments for the city and the Board of Ed have selected Infinity Visions as the new modern financial platform to be shared between us. This is a tremendous step forward towards transparency and efficiency. And as we are presented with this recommendation by our finance department tonight, the Board of Education will be having a similar discussion at their finance board meeting across town, also tonight. I commend both finance departments on collaborating for the good of our residents, students, and taxpayers. And with that, let me say that it has been my pleasure to fight along with all of you for progress in our city. Thank you, and God bless you all. We started a raffle back in, I believe it was March, for Mayor for the Day. And we got quite a substantial amount of entries. So we're going to have somebody, hopefully Belinda, going to pick the winning ticket. Could be me. Could be you. That'd be exciting. Hey, what is? You're pretty messed up. No.
Josie Stapleton.
Josie Stapleton. Okay, Josie Stapleton. Are you sure? I need my glasses. Is it Stapleton? Okay. All right, we got a winner. We'll have to present that. Okay.
Got an email address.
Take a look at it. I can't see that with my glasses.
Joseph Stapleton.
Joseph Stapleton. Joseph. We'll be in contact with her. Thank you for all who donated to the thing.
Corporation Counsel John Rainey, please.
Mr. President, members of the board, another thing, legal update. Just some brief notes. Again, big thanks to the Board of Education, Finance Division, Lisa Jones, and of course the Superintendent, collaborating with Kim DeStefano on Finance, going forward for the first time ever with a joint financial platform. It is Infinite Visions, which is a junior version of the Munis system, which is one of the most credible and recognized financial platform systems out on the market. And this one is tailored very specifically towards Board of Education. But as Kim's go into, there's a lot of facets to this for use on the city side. So after her presentation, I just want to remind everyone, we would like a vote from the board after consideration to recommend this as being the software to be used. Kim's counterpart on the Board of Ed side is doing the same tonight with Finance, and they're going to make that recommendation back to the full board tomorrow night at the full Board of Education meeting. You have a contract for the Chief of Police in executive session. I want to thank the entire Police Commission for the process here, the hiring process, and negotiation process. And of course, I want to thank and congratulate our new Chief of Police, Andrew Coda. Chief, congratulations. We have Olson Drive. We talked a little bit about that. The important thing to remember is, of course, nothing can happen without that application being granted. We had last week a big step forward with the Ansonia Housing Authority essentially approving the city's plan to move forward And the Housing Authority also has its own plan to move forward with public housing upgrades off Olson Drive. An application is going to be submitted in the next week or two. That application, the time frame, Todd tells us is about 60, 65 days, and so we hope to hear back at the end of that time frame. Some notes from tonight. Mr. Doobie, your concerns have been heard for some time, and you're on executive session tonight. That is on the agenda. And if you do want to stay around, hopefully it won't be too long. If you do stay around, I'd like also for you to talk about this with the board. And as we've mentioned many times, the city's trying to do something. We've sent Public Works out to try to mitigate this. So far, right, hasn't been there yet, hasn't gotten there yet, but the city has expressed an interest in getting something done for you. In terms of sewer claims, we heard about one sewer claim. There's other sewer claims in the city as well. And the city has been fighting with its own insurance to try to secure coverage. Unfortunately, things aren't always as easy as you hope they would be. Oftentimes when a resident's insurance is declined, our own insurance, you hope, comes to the bat, but oftentimes if they don't believe that there's liability, they will decline coverage. And as the city, we work with them as much as possible to secure coverage because we believe it is the fair thing to do, and we will continue to fight, and I hope to get more and more answers for everybody. In terms of retirement, that came up, and we did have a switch over with retirement that does affect a subset in terms of copays, but that is something that we're working with our broker on. And finally, I never thought that comics would be a part of a legal update, but in terms of that Ansonia Comic-Con, I do want to thank a group of volunteers who banded together really to create this idea, including Dominic Philippone and Jeff Sweeney of the Library Board. I do want to stress, of course, while they've been volunteers in brainstorming ideas from the beginning to the end, which is the event coming up in 2 weeks, Cultural Commission is playing a major role. And Rich DiCarlo has not only been involved, but is steering, of course, preparation with vendors, a lot of other work. Irene Crom Kirby on the Cultural Commission as well is very, very involved in this. So I want to thank them and Dom. And also, we need volunteers. So I know that Dom and Jeff Sweeney, and myself, a lot of people will be there. If anyone here is interested in this at all, join us to volunteer. Friday is the setup. Saturday is the event. And really anybody from anywhere, can help make this happen. All of the money will be donated that we make from vendors and sponsorships and donations at the door to create a new teen room at the Ansonia Library. The hope is to really leave something physical there permanently to be part of this teen room, maybe a graphic novel or a comic section. And I covered Farrell a little bit. There are many groups that ask for tax incentives, and that's certainly the case with, you saw with Olson Drive, and certainly, ATP Palmer, it's come up, but actually, in truth, in terms of the city actually agreeing to something, the most significant one at this point is really better packages for an actual city tax incentive. So that's my update for now.
Thank you, John. Sheila O'Malley, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Board of Aldermen. Talk about a few projects. Main Street connectivity, I know you hear about that a lot. The sidewalks need to be replaced all along Main Street. The mayor wants to do the entire street. And then I've heard from other people looking at the train station and what improvements they'd like to see at the train station and some other amenities for Main Street. The state was generous enough to give us a grant that we competed for, but that grant was for $189,000. And so to do a complete streetscape on Main Street, it's like the project has a larger scope and a larger dollar amount, I think, to do it properly, and our engineers agree with us. So they're putting a scope together. I have some ideas about where we can secure the additional funding. Once that scope, once they put the scope together, I'll bring it to this board so you can see a full breakout of what the plans are for Main Street, and then we'll submit an application for additional funding for that project so that it's done, looks as nice as West Main Street does. That's community connectivity, Main Street. Prindle and Pulaski, if you haven't been by there, I'm sure you have. There's 3 crews working on site for Grasso to get those sidewalks in place in swift fashion and to complete this project in a timely fashion. So they are laying the groundwork for that. Drainage on Pulaski has just finished, and so now they're working on the sidewalks. State Street is, as I said, in the hopper for improvements on State Street and North Cliff. Those intersections with North Main Street, sidewalks, improve the pedestrian safety and handicapped accessibility. There's a lot of children in that area. Assumption, the Y, and the Armory sees a lot of children using those streets, crossing, and so forth. So that will bring improvements to that area as well. Interestingly enough, the attorney for Castle Lane, in a conversation with him, had expressed that perhaps the owner of that property may want the city to purchase. As you may recall, a few years back, I'm not sure, 2 years maybe, 2 years ago, we received an open space grant from the Connecticut Department of Environment and Energy and Environmental Protection. And that grant and our share for that matching grant didn't seem sufficient for the owner of Castle Lane, and it turns out he's sort of had a change of heart. So I'm talking to Deep about the grant and where it stands right now, because we initially said that that we couldn't come to an agreement on the price. So want to see if we can resurrect that grant or see if there's some opportunity to purchase the land so that we can make everyone happy. It's that. 133 Wakely Avenue, thanks to Chairman Heon and the P&Z, they've reviewed the site plan, haven't made a decision yet, but I believe that project's going forward. That's an expansion on Stelray. The owner of Stelray, Larry Safran, excuse me, wants to build a commercial facility right on Wakely Avenue, and he's moving forward with that. Site plan was submitted to the building department and went to P&Z members. So that's exciting. That's coming up. And we already talked about the Farrell expansion. I believe that's it for now. I could go on. Oh, actually, yeah, I just wanted to say, Tony Spigarella mentioned the Valley Fire Training Facility. I have to tell you that it's been 23 years that I've been involved or not involved with the Valley Training Facility. That I worked for a congressman at that time, and the state had secured the funding and set it aside, and it's 23 years later, and we're still in the same situation. So I too would like to see that come to fruition. The Valley deserves it, the firefighters do. So just wanted to add that. That's it. Thank you.
2 questions.
Rich? Oh, no.
1, Clifton Avenue, paving. How are we
Yes.
looking for that?
Clifton Avenue paving.
Got a lot of complaints.
Yeah, they got to fix
Yep.
the storm drain.
We were just there.
The installation of the gas main, they broke a 20-foot section and they put a smaller pipe in a bigger pipe, and it's overflowing. Mike is meeting with the engineer tomorrow from Eversource Gas to fix that pipe the proper way, and then hopefully we're going to mill and pave that before November 30th.
Second question.
Yes.
Passport.
Oh, Rich, what a surprise. So surprised to hear you ask about that. We've identified funding for that project. So I don't think it would cost very much to put up, and again, Tony had mentioned just one hoop, maybe even half court, so that the parking issues aren't disrupted, and perhaps, fencing to make it more secure at nighttime, so that,
Do we have the
people aren't-
funding for that?
I'm pretty sure we have the funding for it.
I make a motion to approve the funding and installation of the basketball hoops at Pine Lot Park.
Second. Motion on the floor, second by Martin Dempsey. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Pressure's on. All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Stewart?
Sort of question, comment, but on the Pulaski Prindle pedestrian safety project, I just want to thank you and your office, Anna, and the firm, Grasso, VHB. They're very professional. Seems like it's really a long process, but having been involved for a very long time, I can see all the nuances. And I want to thank you for securing extra funding to extend the project, midway. I've talked to several residents just in passing and in the stores, whatever, but everyone seems happy, and I noticed that they're already pouring concrete further down on Pulaski. So just good job, and thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Alderman Stowe.
Yes. What exactly? How was it worded? The fire police, or how is that?
Valley Fire Training Facility.
Okay. Now, can't we have our state rep look into this?
Actually, that would be great.
Can we send? I'd like to see us send a short letter to her and ask her to see if she can give us any help with that.
Well, she promised it didn't come through.
Promised what?
Promised the fire school.
But did she make any kind of presentation?
Yeah.
Did she share it with us?
No.
I'm asking, can we send a letter requesting her to?
Charlie,
she's had multiple posts in the Valley Independent Sentinel if you'd like to research. Multiple posts, multiple
About
op-eds.
this?
Yes, in the Valley Independent Sentinel, you can research it, sir.
If we pass the resolution, we'll send her a copy of the resolution, Charlie.
Well, that's what it takes. You need your legislators to push this.
I understand.
project.
That's what I mentioned.
But as I said, this has been going on for, I want to say 23 years.
Well, I mean, it can't hurt to send her a letter and
That's a good point.
ask her to, come see us and see how she's done.
Is that a motion? Is that a motion to send a letter to her?
Yes.
Second.
Resolution.
Mr. Cassetti, second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you,
Yeah,
Charlie.
there's a resolution.
Late resolutions on the agenda, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We had the resolution, yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr.
Oh,
President,
good.
go ahead.
Good.
All right, this would land somewhere between Economic Development, Sheila O'Malley, and Corporation Counsel, Mr. Marini. Yes, he's there, okay. This is up your alley, Mr. Marini. This is docket number, I can't read so many numbers, Superior Court, Ansonia Milford. This is something you probably remember from the 29th of August, 2019. I'm not going to bore the chamber with the entire document, but I had to do with Ansonia Housing Authority versus City of Ansonia. I'm not going to bore everybody here with the entire 3 pages of document, but I do want to read the last page specifically. And this is from Attorney Frank P. Canatelli, Esquire. Speaking of that, in this, in an email, counsel for the city, Marini, now is requesting that this is the lawsuit, that a separate sale or lease agreement for the first time be incorporated in this civil action. Plaintiff's counsel relates to the court that this is a strong-arm tactic and was never part and parcel of this lawsuit. Further, after discussion with the Ansonia Housing Authority, which is a city agency actually, all right, executive director, is clear that HUD will not approve the Ansonia Housing Authority giving its property away to the city of Ansonia, another city agency, all right? The tactic is clearly a form of bad faith negotiation and should play no part in the progression of this matter. My only question is the same question I had exactly a month ago. Who from Ansonia City Hall has specifically spoken with Ms. Gottlieb, who runs all the HUD properties in the state of Connecticut?
So to start off with, apples and oranges.
Okay.
You're referring to a document that had to do actually with an entirely different matter. It had to do with pilot payment agreement.
Right, and then you added Olson
Between
Drive.
3 different entities.
Right.
And of course, in the course of negotiations, what can I say, attorneys could be a little aggressive. In the course of negotiations, Olson Drive did come up. However, that matter was entirely settled, and we moved on. So not only is the city and the Housing Authority on the exact same page with the pilot payment, we've discussed it here in this chamber and resolved that, but we're also on the same page for the application. Again, as I stated last week, the Housing Authority voted unanimously to move forward with that application. And several weeks prior to that, we met with Ms. Gottlieb and another representative from HUD all together with the Housing Authority and agreed that this was going forward. So that attorney's representations were for litigation purposes. Sometimes attorneys say things when they're trying to win arguments. But we have a green light officially from HUD, or Housing Authority, that's on the record. We have HUD officially telling us to proceed. We have consultants that are on board proceeding, and we are very comfortable with this application, and it is a team effort.
You're proceeding with the application process.
Which is understood by HUD that it's being done and has been encouraged by HUD. So while, of course, as I said many, many times, it's all contingent on granting that application, at the end of the day, yes, it does need to be approved by HUD. But of course, the city is very aggressive in trying to make sure that we have an open path to Olson Drive, and to be working together, we have found it.
And that is a 60-day process, correct?
They said 60, 65 days from the submission of the application.
It goes to Chicago, to the Special Application Center in Chicago, and they should be able to turn it around in 60 days.
Good. Thank you.
Attorney Gottlieb is counsel for HUD. Suzanne Piacentini is the head of Hartford HUD.
All right, and you spoke to?
Both.
Both, okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Sheila O'Malley?
Should I stand up again?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm wondering if somehow, some way that we can find a grant for Nolan Field.
And what,
Field house, the field.
Field.
Everything.
There's money in the referendum still for Nolan Field House. The issue with the, I'm glad you brought it up, with the locker rooms and the shower stalls and all of that, is that it's, if you've been in, it's a very old structure, and the showers, in order to make them handicapped accessible, and the restrooms will require quite a bit of work and quite a bit of money to invest in it. I'm not sure, we still don't know how much work needs to be done in the field house. We made some exterior repairs. We've done some things that were, sort of easy fixes, but the interior, I think, probably want to make a decision on what to do with the interior of it. And are the kids utilizing the showers anymore? Is anyone going in there? So what makes best sense with that money, but definitely that money's will remain, as part of a line for Nolan Field. We probably want to secure some additional money.
Right, because
I'm with you.
Why I asked that, because a resident gave me some plans from 1979, and it looked really nice.
Yeah, and it probably cost a lot less back then.
Yes,
too,
it did.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, we.
Well, no, but looked really nice. Looks nicer than that.
Shag carpet.
Yeah.
Lava lamp.
And a lava.
Yeah, the lava lamp.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to, find out what everybody wants in that building. How do you want to renovate it? In what direction do you want to go? Are you going to put a lot of money into showers that no one uses, or are you going to do something else with it?
Well, it's because they can't use them because it's not up to standard because of how the showers are. That they're all out in the open. They can't have that anymore.
Correct. That's right. I don't know if they're using them at other.
No, they can't.
In other communities,
okay.
How that works. But yeah, there's money there. We need more money. Yes.
Okay.
instead of dumping money into that building, is there any way that we can get together, you, I, whoever aldermen want to get involved, and talk about contacting an architect? I was the one who gave Chicago those plans.
Yep.
There's an architect out of New York City who came up and drew a whole new plan for the development. Obviously, it's going to be very cumbersome to take on monetarily, but if we can get the process started and use your expertise to try to get some grants or some help from the government, to try to update that facility would be appreciated. I don't believe anything was touched up there since the 70s. I mean in the 70s, they were looking to redo it, and here we are, it's 2019, it still hasn't been done. But it's a nice piece of property. I'd hate to see it, continue to deteriorate, especially if you have the guys here who are willing to help.
It's a great legacy, and you need a nice place there. So yeah, definitely. We'll talk to some of the engineers and architects who did some initial work for us, and we do have some renderings of that stuff. But try to get a scope together.
Thank you.
Work together on that.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Sheila. Thank you. Greg Martin, please.
Thank you, Alderman President Mr. Vaccaro, and members of the Board of Aldermen. Just want to make a couple references here. We've got a new business that came into downtown that's maybe kind of fallen through the crack a little bit. We had the water doctor move in on 488 Main Street, and they took over the old Valley Cap Company building. They actually purchased it. Rick Hallett was up on Howard Avenue for a number of years. Brought his business about a dozen employees. It's a 5,000 square foot building. They did a nice remodeling of the inside. Also the landscaping, if you notice it, it's a beautiful landscaping project, which is a gateway for downtown. So it's a nice presentation when you're coming down Upper Main Street. And he does a lot of well pump water. He works with wells, pumps, and filtration systems. He's a nice addition to the downtown. Mr. Alderman Cassetti, you can just pass these down this way, and through that way, and then one of that way also.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it.
This is an interesting story. This is basically what could amount to a free billboard for the city of Ansonia going forward, just to promote some attractions. This is on Route 8 South.
Would you like 4 copies?
Yeah, no, trying to save on the group, on the coloring. But exit 19 on Route 8 coming south, and exit 19 dumps you right into Ansonia, Wakely Avenue, down to Franklin Street, down to downtown. There's a huge sign that says attractions, and it's a blank sign. So we've approached State of Connecticut Department of Transportation with a recommendation to put underneath where it says attractions, exit 19, we're asking them to add Nolan Field Athletic Complex. And I think the bigger impact here could be Ansonia Downtown Dining District. Basically have millions of impressions annually going right past this sign every year. From
So we
Massachusetts.
really got to do something with Nolan Field.
Well, the traffic coming from Massachusetts through upper northern Connecticut, we're going to drive past this. I think over time you're going to have some incremental traffic down to our restaurant row here. You know, restaurants are always looking for more business, and we're also looking into any restaurants that would be interested in doing some advertising on there, like a Crave logo, Masaminos. So, we're working on the pricing on this right now, but this may take shape within the next month once the state gets back to us. And that's it. Any questions?
Thanks, Greg. Can you Stefano, please, City Controller.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to give you a quick update. We have been working diligently with Western Bank, who uses a vendor that works in between themselves with a credit card company to try to get a credit card machine for Public Works. We'll be the first department to get it. Submitted the paperwork to their legal department to authorize them to set us up as a merchant so that we can get this going. As John said, things take a little while with this type of thing, so be patient, but eventually we'll get that machine down there and Mike will be able to use that for all taxpayers that are coming in to drop tires and things like off that we want to start collecting money for. But of course, the biggest news, I guess everybody knows, is the software for the new financial package that we'd like to recommend this evening. From the very start, the one that we're going to recommend, which is called Tyler's Infinite Visions, has seemed to be a very good choice for us. But in order to do our due diligence, we looked at many other software, including the Tyler's larger entire Munis system. What they call this Infinite Visions is the mini Munis. At this point, we don't really need the large Munis software system, which incorporates assessor, building, tax. It's got all those special modules and it all merges into one software system. At this point, we're very happy with the vendor QBS that we're using for the assessor and the tax office. So this Infinite Visions, it's a smaller package, has a general ledger, hooks up very well with a lot of the software that the Board of Education is using. So for both of us, it seems to be a very good fit. They've got a very good reputation for customer service, which is important to us because as new users to this new software, we're going to need the support and the ability to talk to anyone. They also have a lot of chat room where you can talk to other people that are using the software. They've got a very good reputation. There's quite a few other area towns using Munis or this smaller Infinite Visions or moving towards it, just like we are. That if indeed we do in fact go at some point to regionalize with another town with Board of Ed, it makes sense to be with a software package that a lot of other towns are using and is successfully using. While we're going to have two separate ledgers, the Board of Ed will still have their own ledger, the city will have their own ledger. We'll be able to have a read-only capacity at all times to be able to see each other's ledgers, which will give us that information that we've all been looking to have from both sides so that we can each see. It also gives us the ability to run reports that will incorporate the city as well as the Board of Ed into reporting if we choose, if that's the type of information that we're looking to have. So that's definitely a positive way for all of us to move towards the same software and being able to see each other's ledgers and gain the information easily. And this has been a great thing to be able to work together with the Board of Ed towards recommending the same software, viewing a lot of other softwares together. So overall, it's been a very good experience working together as we got to this point. So as John mentioned, we would like to put forward the recommendation that we would like to choose Tyler's Infinite Visions as our new software package that we're going to go forward with. So if you can take a look at that and if you agree with us, we would appreciate your support in moving forward with this along with the Board of Ed is also meeting this evening. Okay, any questions? Josh?
In the instance that you decided down the road that you wanted to upgrade to the other one, given it's the same company, are you able to upgrade?
Yeah, that's also another asset. Thanks for bringing that up. Probably was here in my notes somewhere. But yes, that's also another asset of having this is if we're already with Infinite Visions, which is a Tyler product, they have the Tyler Munis project software as well. So if in the future we do decide that we would like to go with another town that's using Munis, perhaps, or if the tax or the assessor decides Munis may work for them, this will give us direct contact to just grow a little larger and get the Munis package. It also gives us something that we'll be familiar with. Munis is very large, so this will kind of give us a small package to start off with. It'll be much less cumbersome to use.
Thank you, Kim. Nice job.
Appreciate it.
I just have one question. Kim, when you encounter a problem within finance, who do you seek direction from? Who is your direct supervisor that oversees that department?
Well, I am the assistant comptroller. That's my union position.
Correct.
I also hold the acting comptroller designation as well.
Okay, but who's your supervisor? Who do you report to?
Who do I report to? I believe I report directly to the mayor.
To the mayor? Okay, thank you.
Chief Coda, pleasure of calling you tonight.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll make it quick, very brief. We had some issues. We just made 2 arrests on an area that we had chronic problems over on Dwight Street for quite some time. But we were able to make some arrests. There's still large follow-up going on with that. It's kind of spread its tentacles to other places, so we're working in conjunction with some other towns to continue on that project to keep that area quiet and clear. The Harvest Festival went on quite well. We had officers down here, no incidents. I was made aware of some access to the upper parking lot that was supposed to be open. There may have been a miscommunication. We'll work on that for the next one to make sure if anybody needs to get in there, they'll be able to get there for next year. The big thing is we've been focusing on some different complaints, different neighborhood issues throughout the area. We've been addressing Upland Terrace, Beaver Street, Grove at Murray for some bus stop issues, Howard Avenue, Nichols Street. So we are aware of those. We're working on them, although you may not always see a marked police car there. There are things going on. Sometimes you will see the marked police car there, traffic enforcement and a multitude of things. So we are aware. Again, I ask you, if you have something, you have a concern, call me. I'll continue to work on it. We do the best we can. We'll continue to address these issues. Sometimes they take longer than anticipated or expected, but we hope to get good results for you in the end. And the final piece, the department in another week will be doing, we brought in an outside, actually a retired New Haven police officer to do department-wide de-escalation training for our officers. Essentially, this is kind of a better way to handle some of the issues that our officers are dealing with. They're getting training how to de-escalate so that it doesn't turn into what could potentially be a use of force situation down the road. Teach them to slow down, calm down. We can get whoever we may be dealing with to do the same. It eliminates many things. It may even eliminate potential for an arrest if it escalates. So this officer has been doing it. He does it throughout the country and other countries out of the United States. So we've been able to retain him to come in and do 2 half-day trainings for us. And we'll do our entire department. We also have some other training going on similar to that we will continue throughout the rest of this year and into next year to get our officers, get them the best state-of-the-art training so that we can handle, hopefully, just about any situation we encounter. I'll answer any questions if anybody has any.
I just wanted to, one thing up to you. I've mentioned it to you before, but I've heard from a couple people. Wakely Avenue, Friday and Saturday nights, they're drag strips at this point.
Yeah.
We have after between like 10 and 12. It really gets loud. So.
Yeah, there's a little bit of bleed over from the Grove Street area that we're addressing, so we know it's going to move over to there. But we'll also address with with the radar recorder we can put up there and get an idea of what's going on. The traffic trailers
at any point in time, he's on.
Don't worry, he calls me. The radar trailer's a little wide, because we have to put it up on the sidewalk. I don't want to block the sidewalk. We have other ways to address that, but we're aware and we're going to continue to address it. Thank you, Chief.
Another thing, in the fourth quarter, it's becoming increasingly common during the day that you're hearing cars spinning the tires and you're seeing burnout strips about over 100 feet long between in front of the middle school, Grove Street, Meadow Street, Bassett Street.
Same group, the loop that we've been addressing, as I talked to you about earlier, we're very well aware of it. We've been dealing with the cars. They got really loud mufflers, so they're not necessarily going real fast, but they're making noise and they are burning out and stuff. So we're addressing it. All our officers are aware. We pretty much know these 6 or 7 cars that are involved. We'll continue to address that throughout the neighborhood. All right?
I just wanted to say thank you. I came to you with a problem on Finney Street. You worked with Bobby Evans and whoever else from the city was involved. I don't know, but it looks like it's been resolved, and I just wanted to say thank you for your attention on that.
Yeah, we haven't received any more complaints, so we think it's
yes, thank you.
Done finally, and then we may talk about removing the signs that were put in the first island now if all that traffic is completely off.
Well, thank you for the resolution. It was appreciated.
Mr. President?
Yes.
If I may, sir. Seeing as this is public official session and we just got done resolution supporting the Valley Fire Chiefs Regional Training Center, there was much discussion about that, and I heard several aldermen make mention of our state representative. What's our state representative doing about that? We want to know what she has to say. I noticed that State Representative Kara Rochelle just happens to be in the Alderman chamber, and I just would encourage or suggest that maybe if any alderman at this time had any questions for our state representative, they could ask her right now.
Sure, just want to finish up with Mike Alessio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mike?
Good evening, everyone. myself brief. We had our first hazmat day this past Saturday with 13 towns. Valley Cog got involved with all the towns now, so instead of having one hazmat day a year, we're doing 3. We had 13 towns, people were there from different towns. We had over 500 cars. Worked out very well. That was our first one, and to cut the cost down for us for setup charges. So instead of me having 6 or 8 guys there, I only had 2 guys there, so I cut our overtime down, also the setup cost, which saved us some money this year. So it's going to work out pretty good with the Valley Cog put together for us. Harvest Festival went pretty good for us. Set up all the decorations this week, mums and all the corn stalks you see on the hay bales. We're finishing up our bulk finally for 15th of this month. Bulk will be over, and then we're going to start leaf pickup. Leaves are starting to fall already, so we go from one to the next. Leaves will be falling. Mechanics are putting the plow trucks together, servicing them, new tires, getting the plow blades ready to go. Crosswalks are finally finished painted. I had a crew going out, put up signs this week. I put about 30 signs up this past month. We're getting caught up, Chief. There's still a lot more to go. Put some new signs up on the Riverwalk. All the Riverwalks in the state got all new signs from the state to put up. Shows you where they're going to, what direction to walk to. So we got our signs up this past week. Them are all taken care of. And the Parks Department taking care of the fields for all the games. Everything's doing well right now, and that's about it for the Public Works. Yes, that sign. Oh, that was told twice this week to do, and he keeps missing the same sign, and he don't see it neither.
Mike, okay. I want to thank you for the work that you're doing on the fields. I mean, you're doing a good job with what we have up there.
Right.
The dip in Wakely Avenue and Mary Street is getting worse. I go across it now with my truck, and
that's going to be addressed when we do Clifton.
Okay.
Which is going to be, I'm meeting with the engineers, like the mayor said, tomorrow, the gas company. When they ran our gas main, they went through our storm drain, reduced the pipe, so now we have problems with the water going down Wakely. So they're coming out tomorrow. Hopefully they do the right thing and fix it. And as soon as they fix it, we're going to pave Clifton, go up to Wakely. We're going to mill that, and also Division Street Hill over by Cumberland Farms. That's got to be taken care of, that big dip.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do both them dips at once with the project on Clifton Avenue. So that would be taken care of.
Hold on, David. I want to thank you because Rich just told me that the stop sign was fixed while it was straightened out.
I gave him a big list. He's been at it for the last 2 weeks, every day. So that was one of them.
The sign that actually hit my truck.
Yeah.
Is actually in front of the Board of Ed main office. It says...
It's on that side or across the street?
No, it's on the opposite side of where the Board of Ed is on the opposite side.
Right there.
Almost directly across the street.
Close to the telephone pole. There's a telephone pole there.
No, it's in between it. It's before it.
Okay.
Just before it. It's got a neighborhood.
And it's low.
No, it's.
Okay.
Then, that's the one.
That's when I told him to go take care of it. He probably didn't get to it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I'm good.
Yes, sir, Dave.
When the project was going on Wakely Avenue and they cut through our sewer pipe.
Yes.
Was there any engineer from the state or from anywhere on site that okayed this or recommended that?
Yes, we had our own engineer oversee the whole job when it was being. What happened was that was already a temporary patch. It was never a finished patch. We never did it. We never did a permanent. We was a temporary.
As far as going through the line?
No, the patch is finished.
I'm talking about the line. When you say they cut through the line and reduced.
Oh, on Clifton, the one just now.
Who oversaw that?
They had their own engineers out there. They broke through it. So they called me. I went out there and looked at it, and I told them, okay, now you have to sleeve it, repair it. Told them how to cut it and repair it. But what happened was he didn't call the company that they hired. The gas line came down Clifton Avenue, 12-inch gas line. It was directly in the middle of our storm drain. So as you see this happening, if you're a pipe layer, you would either go under it or go over it. What happened was they put a couple 100 feet in. By the time they got there, they didn't want to raise or lower the pipe. So they figured they reduced the pipe, our pipe, down so they can get right underneath it. That's just what they did.
And the engineer recommended this, I would assume.
Well, the gas company engineer wasn't there that day. The company that they hired.
So who did it, just a supervisor, I guess?
Just a supervisor for the company.
And this
And now they don't want to
condition
fix it. He said, well, I told them to fix it that way. Nobody fixes a pipe that way.
just doesn't make sense.
So the gas company tomorrow will be out there. Their engineers, I'll be there. Our city engineer will be with me. Show them pictures, show them what they did, and they're going to have to rectify it.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
I'd like to remind the Aldermen, if anybody has any issues during the month, rather than wait 4 weeks to address Mike, you can always text them or email them or call them. Chicago.
I do.
Okay. I guess she stepped out. All right. Committee reports, Finance Committee. Is there a motion to pay all bills that found to be accurate and correct? Mr. Stowe? Motion. Second by Mr. Cassetti. All in favor, say aye. Be opposed? Okay, Kara Rochelle is in the building. Good evening.
Gentlemen, how are you?
We're fine. We're discussing the resolution we're going to pass.
I heard somebody got a hold of me and said you guys had questions about the fire school. So I'm happy to be here. I wish someone had given me a call. I would have been happy to come down and talk to you anytime. So I'll just give you a quick overview of what's going on so you can avoid having to deal with any paperwork and I can answer any questions that you guys have. So as you all know, the fire school, I think that we all agree wholeheartedly that the fire school needs to get built without delay. That is unequivocally what needs to happen. You probably all know my background. I'm very involved with the fire service, so this is extremely close to my heart. That said, I've hit the ground running since we got into office. In fact, on my state rep website, you'll see posted and pinned to the top of my page a list of phone calls, emails, things that have been done in the past several months. Now, I cut it off at June. I got to update it again for the rest of the year. But suffice it to say that there's calls, emails going on multiple times a week, every week. Now, in the past month, we've gotten a letter submitted with 33 reps and senators in support of the fire school. That includes most of the Valley delegation and additional reps from all over the state, including as far away as New London, which is in the border of Rhode Island. We also have letters from the Speaker, the Majority Leader, and the Minority Leader in support of the fire school. And I've coordinated with some other towns to get additional letters in. So the Valley Council of Governments, which represents 19 towns and about 485,000 people, have also passed a resolution in support of the fire school. That letter is in the process of being sent to the governor's office as we speak. They're in the middle of writing it. So it's about 500,000 people, not counting all the reps and senators from other parts of the state that are included and encompassed in this groundswell of support that we've been putting together. There is an event happening on Thursday that I'm attending and working with the board of the fire school on. And in general, I'm in touch with the board of the fire school multiple times a week at this point. So they're always in the loop and aware of what's happening, and we work closely with them. Now, certain meetings and certain things that I'm working on are being kept, to the side because I have to, as part of the work that I'm doing on this issue. But we have things listed on my state rep page for the public about a lot of what's going on. This is not something that anyone is sleeping on. This is not something anyone is taking lightly. And we're doing everything we can to work professionally and increase the pressure exponentially on this process. Questions about this?
So how's it going?
We have increased the pressure, and right now we're waiting on the governor's office to put it on the bond agenda. Now, I do want to explain one thing, that way there's no confusion when this comes up. There's a bond committee and a bond commission, and they're two separate organizations. So the bond package that's going to come out is done by the bond committee. That will not have the fire school on it because that was already passed 14 years ago. That was done through the legislature 14 years ago. I, as a legislator, can't put a bill in asking for the fire school to get bonded because that was done 14 years ago, approved by the legislature. It's already done. The money was already allocated. It's in a pot. It's just waiting. So this wholly is waiting to get put on the bond agenda, which is separate. That's set by the governor. It has about 5 or 6 or 7 people on it. It is a separate process and entity from the legislature. The legislature has already approved it.
When do you think we could see something tangible? When is this bond?
So they've had a few, but very few, bond commission meetings this year. I can only speculate, and I don't want to speculate too much because that would be irresponsible of me, and I don't want to be saying, things that may or may not happen. I can tell you that I suspect that not a lot is going to be put on the bond agenda until we get a few things on the bond package, some semblance of transportation. I'm not sure what that's going to be at this point, and we're all kind of stepping back and waiting on that. But I can tell you that what has been on the bond agenda so far, the last one, was all requests by commissions and committees, not by individual legislators. Individual legislators from leadership on down are not getting any of their individual requests granted at this point. We're all in a holding pattern. Every last one of us. Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I understand you clearly. You're saying that this was approved and passed 14 years ago, correct?
Yes.
And there's money set aside for it?
Yes, it was approved for all of the fire schools.
Okay.
At the same time.
So my question is why isn't it being released? And why is, if you can't re-present it because it was done 14 years ago, why do I have to wait, or we have to wait as a community, for them to add it to this bond thing? It's already been taken care of, the money's already there, what's the problem?
So the money, so when something passes through the legislature and is approved, it goes through the bond committee, goes through the legislature, it's approved, the money goes in a list of money that's available. That money was set aside for all of the fire schools to get built, and they were getting built until a few years ago when the brakes were slammed.
But why? That's my question. Why? If the money's
Ultimately,
already there,
the bond agenda is set by the governor.
but if the money's already there and it was approved, why isn't it going forward?
Great question.
So you'll find that out for us?
Well, the only person that can truly answer why it's not going on, despite the fact that about 500,000 representatives, about 500,000 people have requested it, dozens of legislators have requested it, ultimately, we're all asking the same question. So we're asking the same thing right now.
And who's asking? Who are you asking?
I sent a letter a few weeks ago that had 33 reps and senators separate from leadership letters. So we've got.
But who are you sending that to?
To the governor's office.
The governor's the only
Yes.
one that releases?
Yes.
Okay, so
He sets the agenda.
You're telling me it's solely on the governor's shoulders that this is not moving forward, correct?
I'm telling you that is who sets the bond agenda.
Okay.
And so that is where our efforts are focused right
But he wasn't
now.
the one who said it 14 years ago that we're still waiting, correct?
The legislature approved it 14 years ago.
I just want to make sure that I understand this. So basically, it all depends on the governor. The money's there, it's been approved, everything is...
He sets the bond agenda.
And he's not releasing the money, that's what you're saying?
It has not been put on the bond agenda. Like I said, nothing has been put on the bond agenda from any legislative request this year. It has
But
all
this wasn't
been...
from this year, correct? I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. It's not from this year, it's from 14 years ago. Excuse me?
Governor Rell's the one who shut it down. As Representative said.
But this current governor could reallocate the funds that are already there,
The governor
correct?
since has not approved it. We've marched, we've rallied, we've gone up here in uniform, we've stood on the steps.
We'll continue to.
Your father, I know
Yes.
this is true to you, and I know you're fighting hard. You're new
I'm
to
being
this
yeah.
This has been going on for...
No, I understand that. We're looking for a resolution. I'm looking to see where the money is and why isn't it being
It's
released.
just sitting there, they won't give it to us. The plan
And they,
is
what
wrong.
meaning the governor? That's what I'm trying to get to
Property is
here.
owned, the
Correct?
weeds are growing over.
Am I right, though? I understand. I'm just asking you a question. Am I right? Is the governor won't release
He
it?
came here, said about it, and then nothing yet.
Okay, so it's the governor's shoulders. Okay, that's all I wanted to get to. Thank you.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I forgot what I was going to say. Tony picks me up, but I was going to say, if you just imagine when you called 911, if the people responding were looking at the letter on your door, whether they were going to look for it, come to your door or not. This is one issue where we have to work together and don't point fingers, and we're talking many governors ago, many legislators.
Yep.
It's not about you or anyone else.
Alderman, I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Keep the pedal to the metal, and I know this is near and dear to your heart, but just keep it on, and
Yeah,
we all have to work together too. We can't be pointing fingers at each other.
Yeah, I wish you guys had just given me a call to ask me about this, because I'm happy to give you a lay of the land. Most of it's up on my website. I'm happy to give you guys updates. Over the past month, they've gotten an increasing volume of pressure and letters, and they're going to continue with that increasing volume. So we're not going away on this.
I didn't write this, by the way.
No. I don't even know what it was. I just was told that somebody had a question, and so I decided to come down and give you guys answers.
I just noticed you presented it to me, so I thought maybe you said I
Presented what?
authored it.
Presented what?
I said you were lecturing when you were talking.
Oh, no.
I thought maybe you thought I wrote this.
Listen, I don't even know what was written. I was just told that you guys had questions and came down to help you.
We're all in this together. So.
Yeah.
We are in it together, but I agree with Josh, but I disagree with him. Somebody is responsible.
And I'm letting you know the process.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, we can't go around as a community continuing to chase our tail and, we did this, we sent letters, you know, it's up to this commission, it was this mayor, or this governor. Somebody is responsible for not releasing these funds. So we have to get to the bottom of it and see who it is and why, and hold them accountable, and that's all I'm asking you to do as our representative.
Yep, and I am happy to explain it to you. The letter that we sent in with the 33 reps was bipartisan, and so, you know, we're continuing to push on this every which way we can.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Yep.
I just have one. Seeing that this was approved 14 years ago, they bought the property, picked the site, you know, something relevant. And that was unfortunately 10 years after our last fire school had closed. I'm just curious.
Roughly 14 years ago. Don't hold me to the exact date, but it was roughly 14 years ago.
That was when it was approved, yeah. But we haven't had a fire school for another decade before that, because the other one had to be closed because of the condition and contamination. So we're going a quarter century without a training facility. My question is, seeing it was approved so long ago and the money was already set aside, and in fact, several $1 million was already spent on this project, and it just
$2 million.
So yeah, it's wasted money. So my question is, how many other regional fire schools are waiting to be built other than ours?
After us, behind us in line, there's a State Firefighters Association. State Firefighters Association approves the list, and per their resolution, it is the Valley School, and then the Wilkett Cheshire School, and then the Middlesex School. Those are the 3 remaining schools that are left to be built.
Because, I mean, that's...
And there's about $26 million left in the pot of money.
It's definite that there's a need. We need to have this. So the state,
you
know, fire people are on board with it. Everyone else is. Are we really going to, I mean, wait until, you know, there's a tragedy or lack of training? I mean, it's expensive enough when we do budgets. People don't realize it costs us, you know, $2,000 to $3,000 for a basic firefighter course. And then we're adding to the expense, and people are taking money out of their pocket to drive halfway across the state, maybe missing work or time with their family to go to the training. I'd like them to be, when I was a volunteer in Derby, we went downtown. Got in a fire truck and drove 3 minutes to our fire school, practiced, and if something came in, we were able to respond. We were right there. There was always additional classes, things going on. We didn't have to go through all this extra trouble. I just think, you know, regardless of who the governor is, there's been many governors now, action needs to be taken, because the governor can't really stop it. We have all these state reps on board with us saying it needs to be done.
I don't think that they've ever received so many letters in a span of time this short.
For action?
Yeah.
They can't take the next step.
Listen, we are on the same page. We are rowing in the same direction. There is nothing that we disagree on this matter. And the level of activity that has been put forth in the past several months is like nothing that they have had in quite a long time. They have never received a letter from 19 towns and municipalities at once. They have not received letters from all of leadership plus dozens of additional reps and senators. We are not making this easy for them to drag their feet on this. And we're going to continue to keep the pressure on. You know, like I said, my father was actually an instructor at the fire school. He's about 50 years in the fire service. So I grew up around watching what the training is, knowing how many days a week he's out doing drills and he's out teaching classes and exactly what goes into all of this. So I'm very aware of the fact that a building used to take 20 minutes to become fully engulfed, and now it takes 3 with new constructions. And all of these components, all of these little details, the fact that it's 6 months, 3 days a week instead of being a shorter class, you know, the technicality of the hazmat classes, all of this has been expressed to the team it needs to be expressed to. I've gotten extremely technical. I've got a binder about this thick with every backup documentation you can imagine in it. I call it my fire Bible. So we're not making it easy for them, and we are working incredibly hard.
Well, I do appreciate your attention to this matter, and that it's just because for a long time, anyone can tell you, in this area, our representation kind of lapsed when it came to the state level or providing things that were promised. Even former local reps, 14 years when something's approved and a project started and it stops. That calls for an answer.
I'll try to put this in perspective without getting tremendously personal, but my father is 65 and I want shovels in the ground as soon as possible. It is a travesty that it has taken this long and that people have not been around to see the shovels get into the ground. It is a travesty that the firefighters in our region have to move between different buildings, and that the equipment gets lugged around in plastic bins, and that it gets cracked and damaged quicker because of that. It's a travesty that people that work 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week then have to travel to another location and wait 2 months to get on the list to do a burn. This has all been expressed, and it's going to continue to be expressed. And I do have to say that I think that, thankfully, because of my upbringing, I'm uniquely qualified to give a more in-depth description to folks and bring it into focus for people that, may have never set foot in a fire school, don't know the first thing about fire service, to make it more human for them, to make them understand this is the stats of the matter, it's a safety issue, and it's also people's lives, the people that are being protected and the people who are doing the protecting. It's not lost on me. No.
How many projects were put ahead of us, ahead of the valley?
So on the list of which fire schools?
Yes.
So that list is agreed upon by the State Firefighters Association. They have an annual meeting, and so all of the firefighters representing all the fire departments across the state come together for an annual meeting, and they decide the order. Originally, about 20 years ago, or 12 years ago when this was first approved, it was the Valley School first, but the Valley School chose to step aside for a moment to go in the center because we didn't have land yet, and so they let others go before them. And when we acquired the land, which was purchased by the state, then we were slid in. But this is agreed upon by the State Firefighters Association, so we defer to their request for what order because they are the organizing body.
So I'm hearing that Governor Lamont is the prime mover in getting this done for the valley.
None of the rest of us can set the bond agenda. That's just the truth of the matter. So that's why all letters are going to him, and that's why all all meetings are had with his staff.
I'm not optimistic. I mean, Senator Logan, Demets Claridge, they've come and spoken to the mayor. I've been there, and I don't have a sense of optimism this is going to get done. I mean, I'd like to amend our resolution tonight to condemn the governor for not acting on behalf of the citizens of the valley. Not just the firefighters. I mean, it's the citizens. It's me. I have a house. We all do.
I will advise on one thing that I think is important to remember is that we're all extremely passionate about this, and I think that we all feel a sense of indignation about what our firefighters are dealing with. But if you're my boss and I need you to work with me on something, and I send a letter that is less than professional, are you more or less likely to work with me?
Well, how about expressing your disappointment? In the
Absolutely, and there's ways to express disappointment that is professional.
Expressing our disappointment.
I cannot. Ms. O'Malley, I'm happy to share with you.
The governor's lack of response on this issue.
Yep,
join with us in that disappointment.
Ms. O'Malley, I have expressed my disappointment in press releases and letters to the governor's office by organizing. I think that organizing in a professional manner to apply pressure is more productive than press releases at this point. I think that what's more productive is collecting groups of people in an organized and professional fashion to apply proper pressure. I don't think that calling folks names is going to, if I called you a name, are you more or less likely to work with me?
I don't think I was suggesting that. No. I said I wanted to know if you would join this board and express
I have been leading this effort, not joining it.
Disappointment and display that this project is moving forward.
Mr. President, I was the one who got this, so she showed up. If I didn't bring up sending a letter, I don't think she'd be here right now today, which is fantastic. Now, keeping it on a professional level, they've had 2 incidents this year. Farmington, wasn't it Farmington that had the foam that got out in the river and killed the fish and poisoned some of the water? Now today, I just heard that there was there's a foam that they use that it's the same thing they use to put in your meat packages, I guess, to help keep cool. And they found out that that's extremely toxic. So in an effort to try to motivate the state without being rude and obnoxious, could you please express, we need this school. We're now facing toxic issues that we know none of us ever anticipated that was going to happen. And, this money is here. It needs to be allocated. Now, after it's allocated, if some of us feel neglected, that's how it goes, right? And that's how it goes in government. So, but if you could please pressure them a little bit, I think that would be helpful, because it sounds like it's stagnant is what's going on. Is just the money has been put in a jar, so to speak, and nobody's got the permission to open the jar.
Yeah. Like I said, not a single project has been requested by any individual representative from the Speaker of the House on down has not been bonded this year.
That might be helpful to pressure them with the, with the chemicals? I mean, that Farmington River, that was a real shame when that happened.
So that absolutely was a shame. I can tell you that the chemicals, there is a bill that was put in, and there is a committee that is looking at whether we should restrict or ban or require alternates to that foam. But that's going to be a separate committee from releasing money for the fire school.
Well, but it falls in line with if these guys were educated a little more, that accident in Farmington may have never happened. We don't know. I don't know that.
Our gentlemen are educated. The fire school is still operating out here, so our gentlemen have a world-class education. In fact, I would argue that the Valley Fire School is the best in the state, and I don't just say that because I'm biased. I say it because we train more people per man-hour than any other fire school in the state of Connecticut, and we also offer a variety of classes that are not offered at other schools. So we do have a top-notch program here.
The funding that we could have is...
I agree.
Help, and we need to figure out ways to pressure. So with your help, because you're our rep, way to pressure without being rude and obnoxious.
Yep. That's
you came in here, you didn't get rude and obnoxious. You came in here, and so far you've been as nice as
I try to be nice.
But I'm just saying, you've been as nice as fine, informative as you can. And our discussion back with you is please put the heater on them and keep us, in the loop.
There's never.
Don't tell me.
I am being there is a way to apply pressure that is both obnoxiously persistent and still professional, and that is the line that we're walking right now. Is no governor has ever gotten a letter from 33 reps and senators plus all of leadership plus 19 towns and in a month. So this is ramping up, not slowing down.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Please.
Trust me, I live and breathe it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, guys.
Thank you. I'd like to amend the motion to the resolution. I'd like to add, whereas Governor Lamont is the principal in this matter, this board moves to condemn the lack of action by Governor Lamont. I'd like to add that as an amendment. Mr. Blackwell?
I'll second.
Make that motion. Is there a second? Mr. King, any discussion?
Didn't we send a resolution a couple months ago that was specifically targeting him?
Yep.
Well, we're going to amend this one.
Do it again.
All right.
Mr. President, I just also want to highlight one thing. When you talk about priority, we did send that resolution some time ago, this board did. And it was reported just last month, September 10th. One of the items on Lamont's bonding agenda, one of the items that did proceed, was a $2 million allocation to demolish vacant apartments in New London for industrial development. And to circle back to our initial conversation earlier, I think we did have an agreement. Sometimes the public interest needs to come before for-profit enterprises. And I think certainly, as a resident of Ansonia, not simply the city attorney, we need to echo that sentiment to Hartford that the Valley should not be ignored, that we should not be putting pet projects in other cities that are for-profit above a public project of intense public interest. I think all of us, including our representative, would want to see done above true public interest. That's all I want to highlight. What was approved versus what was left off.
I'll read that amendment again. Whereas Governor Lamont is the principal in this matter, this board moves to condemn the lack of action by Governor Lamont. We have a motion. We have a second to amend the resolution. Is there discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed. Mr. Cassetti, opposed? Mr. Abstain. Abstain. One opposed and one abstention. Don, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I oppose.
You what?
Oppose.
Oppose it? Okay. So motion passed. Thank you. Okay. Continue with committee reports. Public Works Committee, we already heard from Mr. D'Alessio. Mr. Blackwell, regarding the Arms Committee tonight?
Yes, sir. For the month of September 2019, ARMS responded to 292 calls for service. Among those 292, Derby received 15 recalls for mutual aid and Seymour 6. As far as mutual aid to the city of Ansonia, there were 3 calls. 1 was on a second call and 2 were on a third call while our first 2 ambulances were already out on the service. The top receiving hospital of the area was Griffin Hospital with over 147 patients, followed by Yale New Haven Hospital with 16. There's several others, but they're single digits, and I don't feel the need to voice them. As far as the revenue that was collected for the month, because the way the first of the month fell, I do not have those numbers yet. I'll have them for you next month. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. WPCA, Mr. Stowe, anything to read? Mr. Stowe stepped out. Yeah. Okay.
Apparently not.
Skip to the Fire Commission. Mr. Stewart.
Yeah. From the Fire Marshal's report for September 2019, the department responded to 52 phone calls, led by 11 structure fires, 2 of which were building fires and 9 cooking fires, 10 motor vehicle assists, and 6 natural propane and gas leaks were the highlights or lowlights for a total of 52 calls. And the fire department, as well as all the emergency services, participated last month in the blessing of the trucks. And as you saw from the agenda, there are 2 communications from me and the Fire Commission regarding proposed appointments that were unanimously approved at the last meeting. So I hope you guys will favorably act on those. And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Stowe, anything to report regarding WPCA?
No, I think we're good right now in that department.
Good report, thank you. Mr. Yaman, Ordinance Committee?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Housing Authority, Mr. Cassetti?
Nothing to report.
Okay, any other committees? No.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just like that, I want you under the housing report. I'm the Aldermen up there off the Woodlawn. Status of, everyone was concerned about the number of fire calls and so forth in the past, ventilation and smoke and false alarms. But pleased to report hoods are being installed with outside ventilation. So hopefully that will make the residents both safer and put less of a strain on our fire service for false alarms and calls. So far they've completed almost 1 of the buildings, 1 out of 8. So that is a good thing. That's all.
Thanks, Dan. Okay.
That
Mr.
last
Yaman.
committee, the temporary regional school study committee, we're expecting a feasibility report before the end of the month for our meeting in October. So
Thank you. The date of that meeting is?
I think it's the last Monday.
October 28th?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I could be wrong.
Municipal reports, vote recommendations. I'd like to have a motion to approve all 7 of the vote recommendations. Mr. Blackwell, is there a second? Mr. Philippone, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the Land Use Department report. I'm just going to make a note of the fact that last month the Blight Enforcement Department brought in $61,608, and the grand total this fiscal year between July and September is $180,783. Doing a great job down there. Okay, Mr. Castellitis.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the tax collector's report and requests for refunds in the amount of $9,863.24 and found to be correct.
Is there a second? Mr. Philippone? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Accidents and claims. Mr. Castellitis,
Motion
please.
to refer all accidents and claims to Corporation Council.
Mr. Rivers, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, there are no appointments tonight. Communications. We have Mr. Stewart. You want to present that, your communication? Number 1?
So the ones I have are labeled as 1, 2, 3. Do we have 1, 2, 3, 4? The numbering doesn't seem to jive with the agenda.
Yeah, the numbers are off on the paper, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so listed as communication number 2, but it's number 1 on the agenda. These letters are identical. So at the last Ansonia Fire Commission meeting, there were 2 unanimous nominations to be added to the fire police. The Charters Hose number 4 nominated Tom Zennett, and Hilltop Hose Company number 5 nominated Michael Margansky. Those were unanimously approved by their companies and then brought to the Fire Commission, where they were also unanimously approved. And I'm asking for the approval of this board to get them on the road.
That's both of them?
Yes, both of them.
Mr. Rivers, second. Any discussion? All in favor, we'll appoint Tom Zennett and Michael Margansky to the fire police. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Sheila O'Malley, you want us to be heard on number 3, Economic Development Director, selection of demolition?
Yes, I did put out a request for proposals for demolition of either a portion or the entire SHW site, which is a 3.5-acre site, partially collapsed in the interior. And so during the course of that request for proposals, we got in additional information regarding the hazardous building materials assessment we had done, and some additional testing information that we wanted to put out to the demolition companies. But tonight, I guess what I'm going to ask for is your permission to select a demolition contractor based on a request for qualifications. I don't want to make this too complicated, but a request for qualifications, which I subsequently put out, so that I could the demolition companies could submit a package of information to us so that we can select a company once we determine the level of demolition that needs to be done, because it's not only that interior portion that collapsed, but it's co-joining other structures. So in order to get a better idea of what that cost will be and how much of the grant money we actually have on hand, because I've been told that I'm getting an additional $250,000 for demolition. So that would make, I don't want to say how much we have in grant funds, but that makes for a larger area able to be demolished. So the demolition companies that have submitted qualifications are Connecticut Demolition, Standard Demolition, Best Tech. There's three companies. I'll get those right.
When do you anticipate trying to close the deal?
I'd like to make a selection within the next week or so.
Well, do we need to have a special meeting for the Board of Aldermen, or just give you permission to do
We can do a special meeting. We can authorize at this stage of the game, but I'm just looking to select the demolition contractor at some point.
I personally feel that you've got 3 bidders, and you're going to go over the bids, and then that next Alderman meeting we'll see who you chose.
Or if we need a special meeting, I mean,
I don't think we do need a special meeting.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, but what are the bids running around?
So we've spoken with several of the contractors. Some have bid on the whole building, on the whole 3.5 acres. Some have bid on a portion. Some have bid on both. So, you know, if we know we have a set amount of grant funds to use, then we can narrow it down with the demolition contractor. I just also want to point out I've worked with all 3 of those contractors on projects.
So we're going to have a
they're all
special
good.
meeting. Is that
That-
what-
Best Tech
That's
Action.
that's why I asked that question.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Sheila, it doesn't sound as if all of them are submitted like apples to apples.
Right.
No, but they've submitted their qualifications.
A little bit more. I
Their
mean, sure,
insurance,
qualified based
their
on that.
insurance
Right.
certificates, et cetera.
Exactly.
And their certificates.
You're going to have
Yeah.
you're going to have a special meeting. Let's go forward, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
Let us know.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Okay. Under new business, I'm going to read this resolution. Oh, I'm sorry. Communication number 4. No, we're going to pass that we added. Sorry, thank you. Under new business, this resolution supporting the Valley Fire Chiefs Regional Training School, whereas fire training for our volunteer firefighters is necessary for them to safely and properly respond to calls under all conditions in order to protect members of the public experiencing danger, distress, and tragedy. And whereas the Valley Fire Chiefs Regional Training School is a worthy, necessary, and important investment for the safety of the residents of the city of Ansonia and for the safety of the public living in the entire southwestern Connecticut region. And whereas the establishment of a permanent location for the Valley Fire Chiefs Regional Training School is necessary to provide professional, technical, affordable, and convenient and varied courses for our volunteer firefighters. And whereas a fire training school is necessary to maintain, train, and draw new volunteers to not only protect the public, but to keep the essential service of volunteer firefighting in place for the city of Ansonia and the entire southwestern Connecticut region. And whereas the state of Connecticut has invested over $2 million for the purchase of land, geologic and soil testing, and the architectural renderings for the new Valley Fire Chiefs Regional Training School in Beacon Falls. And whereas the bid process for construction of the school has been completed for a second time. And whereas funding for the school is required through the approval by the State of Connecticut Bonding Commission. Whereas Governor Lamont is the principal in this matter. This board moves to condemn the lack of action by Governor Lamont. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ansonia Board of Aldermen supports the construction and permanent establishment of Valley Fire Chiefs Regional Training School at the proposed location in the town of Beacon Falls in order to ensure the proper emergency response training for our volunteer firefighters to protect the public safety for not only the people of the city of Ansonia, but for the entire southwestern Connecticut region. Be it further resolved that the Ansonia Board of Aldermen support the placing of the funding for the school on the next state Connecticut Bond Commission's agenda and recommends that the Bonding Commission approve the funding as soon as possible so that the Valley Fire Chiefs Regional Training School may be permanently located in the town of Beacon Falls in the immediate future. Dated in Ansonia, Connecticut, and adopted by the Board of Aldermen this the 8th day of October 2019. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Yalman, Mr. Schubert seconded. Is discussion, gentlemen?
We already did this.
Well, we did the amended part of the resolution we discussed. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So whatever our votes were for the amended version is the same here.
Well, I didn't read the entire thing, though. It was only the amendment that I changed.
Oh, the
that I
amendment.
added.
So we're voting for the first half, not the amendment?
We're voting for the whole thing that I just read, including the amended section.
I abstain then.
Okay. Any other abstentions or opposition? Motion passed. Thank you. Any other new business, gentlemen? Okay, old business?
I have one question. I don't know if it'd be appropriate now or during executive session regarding a claim that was submitted last month referred to council. I may, Attorney Marini. There was a claim by Mr. Andretta that was presented to us last month, referred to you and our insurance company. I was just asked to find the status of it.
So no update yet from the insurance. No update yet from the insurance, but I'm sure by next time we'll have a response.
Okay. Is it normal for
sometimes it takes a little longer.
Insurance agency, they take longer? Or
yeah. Really depends on the nature. Sometimes they want to investigate. Sometimes they want to look and see, okay, what's going on. So it all depends on the type of case it is.
It was a concern, and I just wanted to address it to somebody, so they know they weren't forgotten. Yep. It's in process, and that's
Oh, yeah.
kind of what I explained.
It was submitted.
It's referred, and they're going to look at it, and they'll come back to us.
And the way it always works is we wait before we do anything on what the insurance's response is, and then go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no ordinances, since I already did the resolution, no resolutions left, no resignations, executive session, Mr. Marini?
Okay. I'd like to ask Kim and Sheila to stay for executive session.
Okay. Motion to exec, Mr. Yaman?
So moved.
I'm sorry, one second. We need to add Winters Brothers to the executive session?
Actually, I don't think we're going to talk about it right now.
No? Okay, thanks.
Keep it as is.
Motion to go into executive session, Mr. Yaman? Mr. Rivers, seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 5 minutes? John, 5 minutes? 5 minutes.
What is?